The Complete Fighter Podcast.
Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to episode 18 of the Complete Fighter Podcast. My name is Cormac and Sam, and as ever, I'm delighted to be joined by my co-presenter, the Hawaiian shirt-wearing Dublin man, Sam Nan. How are you, Sam?
Not too bad. This shirt is as close as I'm going to get to a holiday this year by the looks of things. So I'm sitting at the backyard pretending I'm somewhere else up in Dublin at the minute. But sure, what can you do?
You can't do that anywhere in Dublin. Oh yeah, this feels like Marbella,
Well, sure, Marbella is just full of people from Dublin anyway, so you might as well be in Dublin. It's just an extra 10 degrees warmer, like.
And Brits. Like, I had a friend who went to Marbella, and it was just like we were just having the chats, whatever. I was like, "How was it?" And I always take the piss that Irish and English people who go over to Spain and only go to Irish pubs, you know. And he was like, "Oh, it's grand, mate. Yeah, you know, some on a crackhead." And then I said, did you see any flamenco music, and did you have much tapas and all this? And he was like, "Would you fucking go away?"
Bag of chips and a pint of Guinness. That's it. That's all you want to end the song.
Or a pint of what is it you drink? Tennent's, is it?
Nah, harp. Very, very rare drink to find. It's rare enough to find harp in Ireland, never mind Spain. So no chance.
The only reason I drink Heineken is not just because it tastes nice, but I have empathy, solidarity, and economic compassion towards the people of the Netherlands. So, you know what I mean?
But the Heineken here is made by Diageo, so it's like it's not the same. Like.
You see, you just ruined my excellent point there. So as you always do. But anyways, we'll get straight into it, guys. Episode 18. We'll be talking about a few things in this episode, from Tony Bellew calling out Andy Ruiz, Alexander Povetkin versus Dylan Whyte happening now behind closed doors, and on that card would be Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, and also as well we will be discussing NDA with Top Rank, and Sam has a few other bits he wants to very briefly discuss, but we'll just actually start off, Sam, just by discussing in the news the past week. It's a good news story, I guess you could say, about Mike Tyson returning to boxing for a few charity bouts, he said.
Yeah, like I seen. I think we've all seen the video of him doing the work on the pads the last couple of days. But it's Jesus that it struck the fear of God into me, like the speed of him, and that he's still got the power behind the shots as well. At his age as well, like it's scary stuff. But
yeah.
I don't know. We've got it seems to be a common thing the last couple of weeks. Some of the older generation coming back to some form of fighting. You got Shannon Briggs as well signed for Shannon the Cannon Briggs signing for bare knuckle as well. So yeah, a lot of the older generation starting to reappear.
Yeah, but you see, Shannon Briggs, he's kind of always, every time I don't know if he's still banned, but it was found, I believe, in the UK. I think it might have been by USADA. Not by USADA, by UCAD, that he had 5 times as much. He had 5 times as much testosterone in his blood, and he said that it was due to antidepressants or something like that. And I wouldn't like. Let me just say as a disclaimer, I am in no way making fun of anyone who's had mental health issues. I never would. But to make that claim is actually just ridiculous, because he's as Dylan Whyte says about as Shannon Briggs says about himself, he's 60,000 years old and he's still jacked beyond belief. He's sculpted like Adonis or something. So he's clearly still on the juice. Shannon Briggs will never come back. I'd be shocked if he even went into bare knuckle.
Well, he signed the contract. He's ready to go as soon as they're allowed back fights. So.
He signed contracts for a lot of fights that didn't happen because, no offense, he's probably a very difficult person to work with.
True.
Much like Chris Eubank.
I'd imagine it's hard to find him an opponent. Like, would anybody be willing to fight the guy? Like, because if you lose to him, as you said, if you lose to a 60,000-year-old man, like, it's not good for your career going forward, is it? You know.
Well, it's Dave Allen lost to Luis Ortiz.
Yeah, that's kind of different though, I think.
Do you believe Luis Ortiz is 37?
No, not a chance. He's at least 60, that fella.
And you know, obviously, David Allen remains the Doncaster de la Hoya and one of the biggest, one of the most loved British boxers by the fans.
If you look at some pictures from World War II, you can see Luis Ortiz floating around the background, like.
Yeah, so you can. Yeah, it's. But no, just when we were saying about the Mike Tyson thing, Mike Tyson did actually confirm that he'd just be coming back for a few charity bouts. Obviously, during COVID-19, he can't have a timeline. He can't do anything like that. I think they'll probably just be takeover fights, to be honest with you. I can't see them being against anyone big in particular. The last time Mike Tyson fought, he hasn't fought in like 15 years. It was against Kevin McBride, an Irishman, one of our own. That was in 2005. And before that, it was against Danny Williams. He lost both of those fights. With the Danny Williams fight, he was actually originally, I believe, supposed to fight Kevin McBride in that fight. But instead he fought Danny Williams, and then he fought Kevin McBride. And no disrespect to, you know, Kevin McBride or Danny Williams, but, you know, whatever, 5-6 years before, or, you know, 15 years before, in the early 90s, when Mike Tyson was at his best, he would smoke both Danny Williams and Kevin McBride easily. But, you know, Mike Tyson was then obviously as a pro, you know, fighting at the age of 38, and he'd clearly lost it, which we kind of knew anyways, when he fought Lennox Lewis in 2003, I think it was 2002. Sorry, but yeah, no, I'd be excited to see him back anyways. But when we're talking about comeback, Sam, like, this is surely a bit different than, say, a Shannon Briggs coming back or whatever, because it's for charity, he said.
Yeah, it's very different. I could imagine whoever he's fighting is not gonna fucking go hell for leather on him, you know. Yeah. Probably wouldn't be able to anyway, but yeah, Shannon Briggs is a different thing. Shannon Briggs actually coming back to, well, supposedly coming back to fight, like. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I suppose I'd probably be more inclined to believe that Mike Tyson is going to fight the charity events that Shannon Briggs actually fighting a bare knuckle match, but we'll see.
It's everyone on Twitter was going mad about this, obviously, about Mike Tyson in that sparring video where he showed that vicious right hand, and the king of cringe, Henry Cejudo, responded to it as "You the best uncle, Mike Tyson." It was his friend and somebody he worked with in the past, U.S. President Donald Trump, said, "Keep punching, Mike." Actor John Boyega just said "sheesh," and talk about bringing everybody out of the woodwork. Of all people, actually, another person who actually got in was what was her name? Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan, who said, "Get it, my friend." Yeah, she actually came on Twitter and she said, "Get it, my friend." What does that mean, get it?
I don't want to sound bad. I had genuinely no idea she was still alive. Like.
Yeah.
What a throwback. Lindsay Lohan. Throwback.
Lindsay Lohan. Oh, man. Jesus. Not bad movie, that. Not bad movie. Anyways, we just want just to move on, that it came out in the last few days as well, that former WBC cruiserweight champion, Tony Bellew, who has not fought in nearly 2 years, his loss against Alexander Usyk for the cruiserweight bout. Tony Bellew actually called out Andy Ruiz, and Tony Bellew arguably, you know, is you know, the biggest fights of his career were his 2 of his last 3 fights, which were against David Haye, a heavyweight bout. He beat David Haye both times. Arguably, David Haye was past his best. But Tony Bellew came out in the last week and he called out Andy Ruiz. According to Eddie Hearn, what Tony Bellew said to Andy Ruiz was, he'd smash Andy Ruiz up so bad that there would be that he would have no point of return, and he'd handle him easy. But that's a fight that could actually be quite interesting, because like Bellew's got a bit of a granite chin, and like he's hard to hit, and he can be very negative. But Hearn has actually then actually came out and said that regardless of Bellew's comments, that the fight will be made. But then I'm kind of thinking, why did you tell people that Bellew told you that, and then come out and say it won't be made?
Yeah, like I really see a fight like that's never going to happen. Like I don't know. It's you always see it with a lot of fighters. Once they retire, they eventually say something to somebody. I think just because they sort of miss that buzz of any sort of hype around the fight involving them. But like it's not going to happen, and if it does, it's probably going to go one way realistically.
And it's if they were to weigh, because obviously Tony Bellew's naturally a cruiserweight, if they were to weigh in, there would be the guts of a difference of 2.5 stone between each of them, considering the fact that Andy Ruiz is overweight anyways, and I would think the next fight for Andy Ruiz, if he wants to get any sort of possibility of reclaiming the throne that he was minding for Joshua, is that if he wants any sort of possibility of it, he has to fight Dillian Whyte. Who is next due to face Alexander Povetkin. Dillian Whyte's the heavy favorite, originally for May 2nd, and that's been postponed to July 4th. I find it quite interesting, Sam, because like I know you're always interested in obviously in seeing the big bouts and such, but you said Alexander Povetkin, that Dillian Whyte fight, that it does not now, as I said, rescheduled for July 4th with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano on the undercard. But you've no interest in that fight whatsoever.
I don't think that, unless Povetkin is back on the special sauce, I don't think he's gonna pull up another fight. The way I see it is, Dillian Whyte's team, they've seen Povetkin as an opponent. Everybody recognises Povetkin's name. He's been around for fucking centuries at this stage. I think they know that if they beat a name like that, it looks good on the record, but I think it's a calculated risk from them that they know realistically he's not gonna. He's not. I don't think at his age now, I don't think he's going to be able to put out a performance that could possibly beat Dillian Whyte.
But you're not actually suggesting that Dillian Whyte is taking that fight because he considers it a takeover fight, are you?
Not a takeover as such, but it's a calculated risk, as in he's a recognizable name. He's a recognizable name to go on your record, but he's long past it. Like,
but it's so like. Yeah, I wouldn't say long past it. I'd say it's about 4 years past it. But if you're actually talking about the last few people that Dillian Whyte has actually fought, so we're actually talking about the 2 great fights that he had so his last fight against Oscar Rivas, who formerly bet Andy Ruiz, very dangerous guy. He beat a former WBO heavyweight champion Joseph Parker. He beat former WBA champion Lucas Brown. He beat the incredibly negative Robert Elenius. He beat Derek Chisora, as said, in their second fight. You can't say that Dillian Whyte doesn't take risks. I think this is a calculated risk. Yes, in the sense that it's a name, but at the same time, there aren't any fights for Dillian Whyte. There aren't any other fights apart from this fight against Povetkin or against Andy Ruiz, which I said a few minutes ago. Ruiz has to fight Dillian Whyte. Apparently, they tried to get the Andy Ruiz Dillian Whyte fight made. Andy Ruiz, because they've been going back and forth and of each other online. Andy Ruiz, ironically calling Dillian Whyte fat, but they tried to make that fight, and Andy Ruiz came out and said, "Oh, you're a liar. You didn't offer me $5 million." And then Dylan Whyte on his Instagram page released the emails from Eddie Hearn to PBC, the promoters for Andy Ruiz. So he can't get out of that. But is that a fight you like? It's for Povetkin and Whyte. I agree with you. I think that Whyte will come past Povetkin. I think it's a better fight than you think it is. But I think if it's ridiculous, Dylan Whyte hasn't gotten a title shot yet. If he doesn't get a title shot next, then he should. Well, like he'd have to wait around for that, of course. Then he should fight Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm just looking at the various rankings here for the various titles. I mean, let me see. I mean, like some of these rankings that have Daniel Dubois and all ahead of him are ridiculous. Like,
Say that again.
Like some of the, like for example, the WBO heavyweight rankings. Obviously, they have the likes of Dubois and all ahead of him, and that sort of thing.
Ahead of Dylan Whyte?
Yeah.
God.
He's not. Actually, come to think of it, hold on. Let me see here. He's not even in the top 15 for the WBO.
Yeah, no, but it's no here. I will actually say to you the way that sorry.
I know he's probably not fought under that banner or something for a while, and that's probably why he's not in those rankings. Like, but
ranking bodies are actually incredibly odd. So it's like, for example, Tom Schwartz, you know, who Tyson Fury fought in June last year.
Yeah, he's number 8. He's number 8 in the IBF, which is obviously, we know, like, he's not the 8th best heavyweight in the world, like, you know.
He was second at one stage. He was second before he fought Dylan Whyte. And it's like, are you actually, like, he's never fought anyone apart from Tyson Fury. And I've kept an eye on him. He hasn't fought anyone else since, except you know, he's like, all of his fights have been in hotel conference rooms, you know what I mean? So it's or leisure centers, you know. So you need to like, that annoys me that Dylan Whyte isn't in the rankings for those bodies. But I'm, you know, to quote Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised, motherfucker. You know, but just do it. Also, yeah, you know my view on that. It's ridiculous that Dylan Whyte still hasn't gotten a title shot. I think he'll come through Alexander Povetkin and then hopefully get a fight with Andy Ruiz, which I think will be a barn blaster. That would be a great fight. Sam, but Povetkin Whyte for July 4th, it's due to be behind closed doors now. Eddie Hearn has actually confirmed. Eddie Hearn is also actually, we don't have a location yet, but he's quite determined to have Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor on that card as well. The biggest fight in women's boxing, probably ever. Serrano versus Taylor. Can you see that being behind closed doors? Because it hasn't been confirmed that it will be, but can you see that being behind closed doors by July 4th? Because Eddie Hearn is trying to get on the July 4th behind closed doors card with Alexander Povetkin and Dylan Whyte. But if it's on this side of the world, Serrano surely wouldn't be able to fly over from the US.
Like, I mean, Povetkin Whyte, I can see why you'd have behind closed doors, like, but I think Serrano and Taylor, I think for women's boxing probably deserves to be. It probably, I don't think it probably didn't deserve to be a co-main event in the first place. I think probably should have, like, I think they could easily, with a big Irish crowd behind Taylor, they could easily do a big arena for that, like, you know what I mean?
Where?
I could easily do MSG, like, in New York.
I hate saying this. I
don't think it would do like T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, but like MSG isn't that big either, so I think we could do MSG.
Yeah. Well, no, maybe the capacity is bigger than it actually. I actually thought it was, but I was essentially saying is that it shouldn't be a bit in a huge arena. due to the fact that if it weren't to sell out, simply because of the fact that Katie Taylor and Serrano still don't get the credit that they deserve in the world of boxing.
I would like to see it in the Tree Arena here, possibly the end of the year or something like that. I don't know, but I don't think we're probably not going to get that fight in Dublin, are we? We could do it. Like, I mean, surely Hearn would be willing to put on an event here, like if he could get around the politics of it all. Like, but yeah, I don't know.
It was whoever wins that fight, Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, is the best women's boxer in the world. But obviously, former Olympian, women's middleweight champion, Clarissa Shields, will have something to say about that. Literally on all her Instagram live videos, Sam, she just spends. She always says, "I'd never go down for Katie Taylor," because Clarissa Shields is massive. Like she's so much bigger than Taylor. But she said, I'd never go down for Taylor. But yet on her Instagram live feeds, Sam, all she does is bitch about Katie Taylor. Like, it's like she's essentially angry, envious of her success, like Deontay Wilder probably is for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
And I think Clarissa Shields is a beast. I think she's an exceptional boxer, but she's clearly just trying to get a lot of traction onto Katie Taylor's name, because Katie Taylor is, forget biggest women's boxer in the world. She's one of the most famous women's athlete in the world,
No, definitely. I think the sport needs to have that sort of fight in front of a crowd, and for it to be a big historic event in a decent arena. I don't think it'd be good for the sport to have that fight behind closed doors. I think it deserves to propel like women's boxing to the next level. I think that deserves to be in front of a big crowd, whether it's screaming Irish fans or people cheering on Serrano. So, hopefully they leave it off the card and put it on maybe the end of the year or early next year.
I know you're a big Katie Taylor fan anyways, but truthfully the only reason you want it in Ireland is you want an excuse to wear an Ireland jersey and have a few Carlsbergs because the football is postponed indefinitely.
Yeah, that's probably true. Just missing any sort of live sport at the minute. But yeah, what can you do?
It was
especially with sorry, good.
You want to cover the Carl Froch story, but just before I actually say that, on yesterday's episode 17, which was a preview for UFC 249 due to happen on May 9th, I made the ever dangerous error of calling out Big Joe Joyce. I would just like to say to the Joyce family and to Big Joe Joyce that it was purely in jest. I was just messing. It was not a slag at you or your family. I've only ever had respect for you. I always enjoy watching your videos, but just so you know.
It's too late for you now. You're dead. Like, that's it. This is your last week on Earth. Like, punch you into the shadow realm, that fella.
Just go on to the Froch story, will you? Go on to the Froch story.
Anyway, so we came across obviously this story. I didn't see the interview myself, but Carl Froch obviously had to come out and clarify comments he made about Anthony Joshua. So I believe he's doing an interview. He's doing an interview with Kuhn Cassius on IFL TV on Instagram Live, and it was a top 10 list. I'm trying to think again, but it was a recent top 10 UK pound for pound list of the last 30 years, in which Anthony Joshua was ranked 10th, while he missed out. So Froch obviously wasn't too happy. His exact words were, "I'm not giving AJ stick, but he got knocked out by a little fat kid from Mexico. I've never been knocked out in my life, amateur or professional. AJ got beat up by a fat Mexican who we don't even know how good the Mexican is because he's not done anything really, and they've got him in the top 10. So Carl Froch not really holding back there. And then on his own podcast, he said, "I was just having a conversation with someone actually off the record and I've seen something come up on Instagram, and I don't think it's made the press or gone any further. He said they've twisted what I said and said Anthony Joshua got beat by this fat kid from Mexico, which is out of order because Andy Ruiz is a decent fighter. He's a good fighter. He can punch. He's got quick hands. He's overweight, yes, but he can still fight. But yeah.
No, it's like what do you even do? What do you even say in there? It's like how is any of that out of context?
And then of course he had to mention the Wembley numbers. He said, I lost the plot when he won because I was so happy for him, even though he smashed my 80,000 at Wembley record. He has to mention it in he mentions it in every interview.
Every interview. Do you know when Carl Froch is I love Carl Froch, like I really do, but like anytime he's I wonder when he's at the Flat Earth conferences in Sheffield or Nottingham, if he's I wonder, does he mention the 80,000 at Wembley? So when he's talking maybe about chemtrails or something on the podium, is he ever like, and if you look at this, whatever, you need to consider things. You need to consider the effects of these trails left by this aircraft. Now, as someone who sold out Wembley, I'm very interested by the international superstar Carl Froch used to always call himself. Even like Carl, I don't think that Carl Froch is one of these stay relevant people. He'll say anything to stay relevant. I don't think he will. I think he just says everything he thinks, and that's both a virtue and a flaw, but most of the time it's a flaw. You need to consider things sometimes before you say them. Like when he came out recently, and he said he would smoke Joe Calzaghe, and it was like he said something like, if I was to do a comeback, it would be against Joe Calzaghe. It's like, the man hasn't fought in fucking 12 years. What are you calling out Calzaghe? Like, and it was like, and this is, I don't know.
I think it's what we were talking about earlier on. It's lads missing the buzz after they retire. Like, once it's their whole life, and then you've achieved everything you want to achieve. Like, where do you go from there? Like, you obviously you missed that buzz, that journey. But what he said then afterwards, he said, I've actually had 4 messages off him referring to Anthony Joshua last night on WhatsApp at midnight. 5 past midnight, 10 past midnight. And he said, when you've read your WhatsApp and it says this message has been deleted, I've had 4 of them off him. And he says, I'm thinking, what has he wrote there and then deleted and changed his mind? So, AJ, if you listen to this, come on, mate, send me a message or pick the phone up and give me a ring, because I've got nothing but love for you. But he's saying, I was having to go with the list and not Anthony Joshua. But yeah, it's obviously not going to go down well with Anthony Joshua, but maybe. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you notice less so in MMA, because that's your expertise? Like, but because stuff is happening in MMA now. Dana White, fair play to him. This Saturday, he will keep his promise that UFC will be the first sports organization back. But
Bob Arum wasn't too happy about that.
What?
Bob Arum wasn't too happy about it. I'd say he was he was critical of Dana White there.
Yeah, but Bob, lovely, humble guy who never has an opinion, Arum. But it's I would actually just say is that given that things are being postponed indefinitely in boxing, and we don't know exactly what's happening, everyone, especially on social media, boxers, whatever, are getting really bored and are saying a lot of stupid shit in interviews and stuff. And Carl Froch and whoever, and Billy Joe Saunders with that horrible video that he put up. Nobody's thinking about what they're saying or they're doing, and like everyone's trying to act like they're in a press conference and calling people out when actually your kid is sitting beside you and you're watching Peppa Pig. Like,
no, but yeah, I've seen some people some of the interviews and some people have done are like really boring, and I think that some people are trying to just make their interviews exciting just for their own entertainment, because with some people being interviewed, seeing them being interviewed sitting in their house and just like, yeah, just going for a run every day, and yeah, just checking in on the family and stuff, and that's all the interview is about, like, whereas I think some other people are just trying to make it entertaining for themselves and people watching by trying to say ridiculous things, but maybe it'll come back to bite
Like,
them in the future.
why don't you do something positive, like the lip sync videos that Joseph Parker did? I think they're fucking hilarious, man. Like, they're really good. Do you know what I mean? Did you see them?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, they're good, all right. But nah,
I was talking to him. I was. Can I just message as well? Just I was DMing him about that.
oh yeah, you typical Cormac style, just sucking up to heavyweight boxers.
And it's no, the last fucking. You just shut up, will you? Let's just move on. Anyways, it's the NDA. Tyson Fury and Joshua. Frank Warren has confirmed, and Eddie Hearn has kind of confirmed this as well. But Frank Warren has, Eddie Hearn has been saying for a few weeks now that they're in talks for Fury Joshua, even though Joshua has to face IBF mandatory Kubrat Bulev next, and Fury has to face Wilder for the third time next. But Fury and Joshua's team are in talks, and it was confirmed 2 days ago by Frank Warren that an NDA non-disclosure agreement has been signed between Tyson, the management group, MTK Global, Top Rank, Matchroom Boxing, have apparently all signed that, as well as Frank Warren, to agree a venue in a provisional way. It's not contractual, just in a provisional way, agree a venue. They do have two other offers for two different locations. They're interested in one, and they're very interested in another. It's thought that the fight would happen early next year, January, February next year, and these agreements are purely about the location. Given the fact that it's NDA non-disclosure for legal purposes, none of the bodies involved can actually mention which country they've currently signed up to provisionally. But you were saying, Sam, you're just going to assume, given that there's so much money from Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, you think the location they provisionally agreed to is probably Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I would say it's more than likely Saudi Arabia. I can't.
Annoying, like.
I think it's going to be a massive trend to look out for is going to be over the next couple of years. It's going to be between China and Saudi Arabia, and they'll be outbidding each other for these sporting events. Especially with China after this whole thing, they'll want to they'll want to up their reputation a bit. But I think themselves and Saudi Arabia will be outbidding each other for these big events, because obviously Saudi is trying to change its reputation as well. I think they're trying to become the new Dubai or the new Abu Dhabi, trying to get more Western tourism, that sort of thing. So I think that's they see these sporting events as a way to draw eyes over to them and say, oh, look, we're just normal people, But I think that's going to be the future. It's going to be between them and sort of emerging Asian countries, maybe even India. I seen the thing that I think it was the Saralan brothers possibly chatting about doing an event in India and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that could be that could be another big country going forward. I mean, there's so many people over there, a lot of money going around. I'd say there's a big demand for big sporting events, So, but that's going to be the future. It's going to be either the oil-rich countries, or it's going to be somewhere in Asia, or like an emerging developing countries with loads of money that they'll start putting on these big events for the sake of trying to put their own brand out there as a country.
Deadly, man, deadly. Okay. It's, I don't know why I said deadly, actually, to be honest, because I just said deadly as an automatic response.
A real
Deadly, bro. Yeah. No, it's not deadly. Because that fight, that fight, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. It's just logical to say that should be in the UK.
It should be in Wembley.
Where else should it be? If not in the UK, if it has to be anywhere else, maybe Vegas, okay? Which is, the capital of boxing. But it's it should be in Wembley, and I'd empty my savings account for that, to be honest with you, because it's that fight. Like, if we don't get media credentials, I would empty my account for that. But no, it would be massive. I'll just to finish on that subject, for the agreement. Warren did mention Australia, New Zealand. Now, he didn't say that was obviously the country they agreed to. He didn't say it was one of the other two they're considering, but he just said as a possibility. He pointed out the fact that in New Zealand, for example, the crisis, terrible COVID-19 crisis, it hasn't really affected there too much, because if the fight is in early next year, as it would have to be, because Povetkin and Joshua is in August, early September, Wilder Fury 3, October 3rd. If it is early next year, who knows, the virus could come back. So if it was in, say, New Zealand or something like that, that's a possibility. But do they have the facilities, New Zealand, Australia?
The UFC did a big event there recently, but it looks like a decent ring there in Auckland there. But yeah, Australia, they'd be definitely able to do big events over there. Like, the stadiums and stuff are absolutely huge over there, especially for the ones they did for the UFC and for Whitaker against Adesanya, those sort of events. But yeah, they'd be definitely able to do some big events over there.
Do you know, for UFC Auckland, where Paul Felder fought?
Yeah.
Is that a big venue?
It's big enough. Like, it's a big indoor arena, but it could be probably the size of, I'd say, the Manchester Evening News Arena. I'd say it's probably about the same size.
Okay. So listen, guys, I think we'll leave it there. Geez, there must be something in the water, because we.
Can I talk about? I've come up with a brilliant idea for future boxing episodes.
Yeah.
Because Cormac has always slagged me and called me a boxing casual, I've decided to focus all my knowledge on the Sutherland brothers. So I'm going to give a Sutherland update every week. I'm going to give you all the news from the world of Kala and Nissa Sutherland. Probably not so much Nissa, because he's pretty boring, but more so Kala. But I'm going to do a Sutherland update every week, and I'll tell you what they're doing.
Hold on. Why are you saying this to me as if it's a joke? I support this idea, man.
No, I'm doing it every week. I'm going to do it from now on. I'm going to call it. It's going to be called Sutherland Watch. That's what it's going to be called.
Mate, could you not say this to anyone? All right, but if you actually do that, that could propel the possibility of an interview.
Yeah, well, not just an interview. I want a job, full stop. No, we're going to do Sutherland Watch from now on. I'm going to give you an update on the two boys every week, and we'll see what they're up to, and we'll give a bit more coverage to the WBSS when it's back as well. So.
And maybe I can do the update with you.
No. This is all about me getting a job with the Sutherland Brothers and World Boxing Super Series.
You do not get to say the phrase "it's all about me." As a professional show-off, that's what I say. Okay, but listen here. We'll probably leave it there. There's not really too much else to discuss in boxing as usual, guys. For the UFC 249 this weekend, if you just want to go back one episode, listen to episode 17. Sam pretty much did that entire episode. I'm sad to say it was because I'm the casual fan, as he does to remind me. But episode 17, UFC 249 preview. In the words of Sam, it was fresh, bro. Yeah.
Actually,
so if you want to give us,
come to think of it, right, I actually, this is no joke, I had a dream last night that the UFC was cancelled, right? And I woke up this morning and I genuinely thought it was. And I began searching through Twitter to find out if it was cancelled. And much to my own happiness, it hasn't been cancelled. So, thank God. Do you ever have them dreams where they come through little insignificant things and you're like, Jesus, it's like picking up a pack of waffles in the shop or something, and it's like, Jesus, I picked up a pack of waffles in the shop. My dream came true. Like, yeah.
No, that's never happened to me. All my dreams are involved in a blackness. There is no hurt. There is no hope. There is no love. There is no desire. We are all doomed to an eternity of an abyss.
Yeah,
on that note,
on that note, it's getting a bit serious now. But serious.
I'll let you go. I'll listen, guys. Thanks so much for listening to episode 18, and we'll talk to you, I would say, within the next week to whatever for episode 19, or maybe Sam, will abandon me and just do the Cali updates. For that,
Sarah Lumber's podcast.
If you want to follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
The complete Sarah Lumber's podcast. That's what I'm going to call it.
When I was promoting the social media, it was, if you want to follow us, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, @Fighter Podcast, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers to that, Sam. Talk soon, guys.
Take it easy.